Hello friends. What happens when two electric, unpredictable, and strikingly independent personalities collide, both born under the sign of the snake in Chinese astrology and ruled by radically different Western zodiac signs, Aries and Aquarius? Is it chemistry, chaos, or a cocktail of both? Let's peel back the layers of the Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake pairing, diving deep into love, marriage, sex, friendship, business, and even the darker corners of their personalities. And by the end, we'll uncover whether these two serpents slithering in different directions can ever truly move as one. Aries Snake, the fearless charmer. The Aries Snake is not just a fire starter, they're a calculated flame. Born under Aries, the bold, fearless pioneer of the Western zodiac, and fused with the wisdom and mystery of the Chinese snake, this individual is a walking paradox in the most mesmerizing way. They're impulsive, yes, but never careless. They're hungry for action, but strategic about how they pounce. Where pure Aries might rush in headfirst, the snake lends an eerie sense of calm, almost like they know what's going to happen 3 steps ahead of everyone else. They crave excitement like oxygen. The mundane, soul-crushing. For the Aries snake, life must be lived like an adventure novel, fast-paced, high-stakes, and peppered with unexpected twists. They're not here for small talk. They're here to conquer, whether that's a goal, a lover, or an empire. But unlike a typical Aries who might burn out quickly or lose interest once the chase is over, the snake's persistence kicks in. It makes them stay the course, evaluate the battlefield, and change tactics until victory is assured. Socially, they're magnetic. People notice them, not necessarily because they're the loudest, but because they vibrate with intent. They walk with the kind of confidence that doesn't need validation. Their aura says, "I know exactly who I am," even if inside, they're constantly recalculating the angles. Seduction is their native language. But it's never just about charm. It's about control. The Aries snake doesn't just want your attention, they want to be in your mind, your thoughts, your decisions. Emotionally, they are complex creatures. The Aries part seeks immediate expression and emotional clarity. What they feel, they say. But the snake part is secretive, protective, and even manipulative when necessary. This duality means they may open up only in layers, never fully giving away all their secrets at once. Love, to them, is both a battlefield and a game of chess. They want to be desired, but not possessed. They want to lead, but not be challenged. In terms of ambition, the Aries snake is almost frighteningly driven. They see life as a series of mountains to climb and kingdoms to rule. But here's the twist: they're not driven by ego alone. The snake lends them a philosophical depth. There's usually a purpose behind their quest for greatness, something bigger than just success. It could be legacy, transformation, mastery. Yet, this powerful combination also has its shadow. The Aries snake can be ruthlessly competitive, easily offended, and deeply prideful. Wounds to their ego cut deep, and they may strike back with venom that's cold and calculated rather than loud and dramatic. They don't just end relationships, they erase histories. This makes them dangerous enemies but incredibly loyal allies. Ultimately, the Aries snake is not here to follow rules, they're here to redefine them. Whether you see them as a hero, a villain, or something in between depends entirely on how aligned you are with their vision. But one thing is certain: you will never forget them. They are a storm wrapped in silk, a fire wrapped in ice. They dare you to underestimate them, and then they destroy your expectations with a smile. Aquarius Snake, the visionary enigma. The Aquarius snake is a paradox wrapped in elegance and cloaked in rebellion. They're the intellectual rogue, the quiet revolutionary, the one you never quite understand but can't stop thinking about. The Aquarian side makes them a natural innovator, someone whose ideas arrive 10 years too early for the world to appreciate. The snake side makes them strategic, sensual, and guarded, never revealing their full hand, always watching, always 3 moves ahead. To say they're unique would be a tragic understatement. The Aquarius snake doesn't just think outside the box, they redesign the entire concept of boxes. They question everything: systems, institutions, even their own beliefs. Their minds are always busy, spinning webs of futuristic concepts and abstract philosophies. But where a typical Aquarius might come across as scattered or too idealistic, the snake sharpens their edge. It gives them a predatory focus, a cool, collected ability to turn theory into impact. Socially, they are mesmerizingly elusive. You think you know them, but you never really do. They reveal pieces of themselves slowly, almost like a test. If you're patient, you'll be allowed into their labyrinth of thoughts. If you're too eager, too emotional, or too possessive, they vanish. They're not built for codependence. Their love language is freedom, and anything less feels like a trap. Romantically, the Aquarius snake is subtle, non-traditional, and mentally seductive. They don't fall in love quickly, and when they do, it's rarely the textbook version of romance. They look for connection on a soul level, often choosing partners who challenge their minds more than flatter their egos. But make no mistake, they have a deeply sensual side. The snake makes sure of that. Behind the cool gaze and sharp wit is a well of passion waiting for someone worthy enough to dive in. They can be incredible partners, but only to those who get them. The Aquarius snake doesn't tolerate emotional drama or insecurity. They want calm, intelligent interaction and absolute respect for their individuality. Try to change them, and you'll lose them. Try to control them, and you'll never hear from them again. In the world of work, they're visionaries. They often gravitate toward careers that let them innovate, create, or lead on their own terms. Entrepreneurship, technology, philosophy, the arts, anything where their mind can roam freely and their ideas can reshape reality. They dislike being micromanaged, and traditional corporate structures often feel stifling to them. They don't work for money, they work for purpose. Spiritually, the Aquarius snake is advanced. They're drawn to systems that blend intellect and mysticism, quantum physics, metaphysical philosophy, or ancient esoteric knowledge. They're seekers, always evolving, always questioning. You may find them meditating one day and designing AI the next. They are not afraid to blend science and soul. But like all intense personalities, they have their darker side. The Aquarius snake can be emotionally unavailable, arrogantly detached, and ruthlessly analytical. If they feel betrayed or misunderstood, they don't argue, they disappear. They can shut down, ghost, or simply retreat into their inner world where no one can follow. Their aloofness isn't always arrogance, it's often a shield, a survival strategy honed over years of being misunderstood. What makes them difficult is also what makes them magical. They're not here to make everyone comfortable. They're here to shake paradigms, challenge assumptions, and rebuild the world one strange, beautiful idea at a time. Being with an Aquarius snake is like chasing a star. You may never fully catch it, but the journey will expand your universe. In the end, the Aquarius snake doesn't need to be understood, they need to be respected. If you can do that, you'll witness a brilliance that's as rare as it is unforgettable. They are lightning in still water, rebellion in disguise, wisdom in modern form. And just like a myth that you can't quite prove but believe anyway, they change you forever. So what happens when these two come face to face? Let's find out, starting with the heat between them. Love, fire plus air equals smoke or stars? When Aries snake and Aquarius snake fall in love, they don't tiptoe into it. They dive headfirst into a cosmic whirlpool that's equal parts alchemy and chaos. It's a romance that feels like a movie written by a poet and directed by a mad scientist. From the first electric glance, the air feels charged. This isn't just attraction, it's combustion. Aries snake, with their intoxicating mix of passion and cunning, meets Aquarius snake, a riddle wrapped in charisma. The pull is magnetic, and confusing in the best way. Aries snake is instantly intrigued by Aquarius's cool detachment. It drives them wild. The Aquarius snake doesn't beg for attention or play by anyone's emotional rules, and for Aries, who thrives on conquest and the thrill of challenge, that's like blood in the water. Aquarius snake, on the other hand, is drawn to Aries snake's raw energy and dynamic presence. It's rare for the often distant Aquarius to feel so alive around someone, but Aries pulls them into the moment like gravity itself. This love doesn't blossom slowly, it erupts. The mental chemistry comes first, Fiery debates, sarcastic exchanges, long philosophical tangents at midnight that turn into slow-burning glances and touch. Neither of them is conventional, and their bond reflects that. They don't follow the standard courtship rituals. Dates turn into spontaneous road trips. I like you turns into, let's disappear for a week. They don't do halfway. It's all or nothing. And yet, beneath the heat and thrill lies the real story. The push and pull of two fiercely independent souls who love freedom as much as they love each other. Aries Snake wants intensity. They want their partner to show up, to burn just as brightly, to feel everything. Aquarius Snake, meanwhile, needs emotional oxygen. They crave a connection that doesn't cling, a love that lets them float rather than drown. This fundamental difference creates the central tension in their relationship. For Aries Snake, love is demonstrated through passion, attention, fierce loyalty. They want to be needed, to be chosen boldly and often. They thrive on emotional engagement. If they feel emotionally ignored, they start to combust internally, which can lead to explosive expressions of frustration or desperate bids for attention. They want presence. They want proof. They want the kind of intimacy that's all-consuming. Aquarius Snake, in contrast, experiences love as a shared mental universe, a philosophical alignment, a mutual respect for freedom and evolution. They don't demand constant validation or intense emotional expression. In fact, they often recoil from it. They need space to reflect, to detach, to recharge. When things get too emotionally intense or demanding, Aquarius pulls back, not because they don't care, but because they care in a different language. A quieter one. And here's where the unraveling can begin. If Aries Snake misinterprets Aquarius Snake's need for space as coldness or indifference, resentment starts to grow. Aries may start chasing harder, pushing more, demanding more, and this only pushes Aquarius further away. In turn, Aquarius Snake may begin to intellectualize the relationship, emotionally detaching as a form of self-preservation. They may start to analyze Aries's actions rather than respond to them emotionally, which only fuels Aries's insecurity. This dynamic creates a cycle. Aries wants more presence, Aquarius needs more distance. Aries lashes out or withdraws, Aquarius retreats further into aloofness. If unchecked, this loop can implode the relationship. However, if both partners are self-aware and committed to understanding one another's needs, something extraordinary can happen. Aries Snake can learn to respect Aquarius Snake's need for solitude and inner space without feeling rejected. Aquarius Snake, in turn, can learn to step forward emotionally, even when it's uncomfortable, and offer the kind of warmth Aries needs to feel secure. They must establish a rhythm that honors both their natures. That might mean redefining what intimacy looks like, not daily declarations of love, but shared creative projects, private jokes, late-night conversations that bridge their inner worlds. Aries must learn that Aquarius's silence isn't always absence. Aquarius must learn that Aries's fire isn't volatility, it's love in its loudest form. Sexually, their connection fuels this bond. It's one of the few areas where words fall away and bodies do the talking. Here, Aries can express their depth through touch, and Aquarius can surrender without feeling emotionally cornered. But even this must be navigated carefully. If sex becomes the only way they communicate, it becomes a bandage over deeper wounds. They'll also need to build trust, intellectually and emotionally. Aries must understand that Aquarius values authenticity over theatrics. Aquarius must realize that Aries's emotional flare-ups often come from vulnerability, not malice. These insights take time, maturity, and willingness to stretch out of comfort zones. But if they do, the result is a rare and powerful bond that not only survives, but transforms both people involved. This relationship has the potential to be a trailblazing love story. The kind that breaks rules, defies expectations, and reinvents what partnership looks like. But only if they don't try to change each other, only if they learn to dance in each other's storms. High initial attraction? Absolutely. Long-term compatibility? It hinges on mutual growth, deep respect, and emotional translation. If Aries Snake can let go of control, and Aquarius Snake can lean into vulnerability, they won't just survive, they'll create something completely original. Something that burns and breathes. Smoke and stars, not one or the other, but both, rising together. Marriage, wild hearts tied together? Marriage between an Aries snake and an Aquarius snake is not a quiet domestic fairy tale. It's not about white picket fences, routine grocery runs, or matching pajamas. It's a dynamic, ever-evolving emotional contract between two fiercely independent, profoundly complex individuals. Imagine tying a lightning bolt to a satellite and asking them to orbit one another without crashing. That's the challenge, and the potential brilliance, of this union. It's intense, unstable, sometimes volatile, but if managed right, it can become one of the most transformative electric partnerships imaginable. The Aries snake enters marriage with full firepower. They're not passive lovers, nor are they content to let a relationship just be. They want heat, passion, progress, and purpose. For them, commitment isn't about comfort, it's about showing up and staying lit. They crave a partner who's in it, emotionally present, fiercely loyal, and unafraid to engage with intensity. The Aries snake sees love as a battlefield of sincerity. They want someone who will fight beside them, not behind them. Someone who proves love through action, not just philosophy. For Aries snake, marriage is a living, breathing organism that needs to be fed, with emotion, effort, and real-time investment. The Aquarius snake, on the other hand, brings a different kind of commitment to the table. Their love is deep, but less traditional. They are allergic to emotional claustrophobia and fiercely protective of their internal space. To them, marriage isn't about becoming one, it's about staying two, by choice. The Aquarius snake thrives when they're allowed to grow, to explore, to reimagine themselves without resistance. They do want a long-term partner, yes, but they want one who respects the distance as much as the closeness. Someone who sees marriage not as a merger, but as a collaboration between two evolving souls. This philosophical difference in how they perceive commitment can either become the glue that holds them together, or the wedge that quietly drives them apart. The Aries snake might view Aquarius's detachment as indifference. Aquarius snake might see Aries' emotional intensity as pressure. Misread each other for too long, and the marriage starts to fracture, not with a bang, but with silence, coldness, and a slow erosion of connection. The only way this marriage can thrive is through a complete reinvention of what marriage means, for them. Forget tradition. These two need freedom baked into the vows. The kind of arrangement where one partner can disappear into a creative retreat for 2 weeks without the other feeling abandoned. The kind where they don't just tolerate each other's independence, they celebrate it. Separate workspaces, separate social or intellectual lives, and even time apart might be key to keeping their bond fresh and their identities intact. This doesn't mean they lack intimacy, it means they define it differently. What truly brings these two together in marriage isn't domesticity, it's mutual admiration and shared adventures. When they function as co-adventurers, explorers of the world and each other, they can build a marriage that's not just sustainable but extraordinary. Their best moments come when they're building something side by side, a business, a shared creative project, a home that defies convention. They thrive on movement, on purpose, on forward momentum. Stillness can feel like a cage. But even with that said, the emotional undercurrents can't be ignored. Aries snake feels deeply and expresses fiercely. Aquarius snake feels deeply too, but shows it in subtler, quieter ways. This difference in emotional expression can become a dangerous blind spot in their marriage. Aries might accuse Aquarius of emotional absence. Aquarius might see Aries as too reactive, too controlling. If either partner feels chronically misunderstood, resentment simmers. And unlike fire that burns bright and dies, snake resentment is long, slow, and strategic. Emotional miscommunication isn't just a bump in the road here, it's a sinkhole. What's required for long-term success is intentional psychological growth. Both must be willing to learn the other's emotional language. Aries must dial down the urgency for constant validation, and understand that Aquarius's detachment is not rejection, it's regeneration. Aquarius must step forward more often, initiate emotional closeness, and reassure Aries that their love isn't a thought experiment, it's real, grounded, and here. They also need to set clear boundaries early on, about space, emotional expectations, and roles within the partnership. These conversations, though difficult, are essential. Without them, they risk slowly morphing into parallel lives, two people under one roof, orbiting in different emotional galaxies. When it works, though, this marriage is brilliant. It breaks molds. It inspires others. It becomes the kind of love that doesn't just survive, it evolves. They may never be the couple who settles into predictable routines or posts anniversary photos with matching hashtags. But they will be the couple who, 20 years in, are still learning new things about each other, still challenging one another's minds, still fiercely independent, and somehow still in orbit together. In its highest form, marriage between an Aries snake and Aquarius snake is less about possession and more about partnership. It's about building something bigger than either of them could build alone. A marriage where autonomy and intimacy are not enemies but allies. A bond that teaches both partners how to be more fully themselves while also being deeply connected to another. It's rare, it's hard, and it's absolutely possible, if both partners are brave enough to rewrite the script of what marriage is supposed to be. Because for these two, tradition is too small. They need something vast, something electric. Not a box, but a sky. And in that sky, two stars that burn in wildly different ways, but never stop shining. Sex, passion with a side of mystery. Let's drop the formalities. When it comes to sex, the Aries snake and Aquarius snake aren't here to play by the rules. They're here to write their own. This pairing, at its best, is volcanic and visionary. It's not just about pleasure, it's about discovery. It's where primal instinct meets intellectual curiosity, where physical chemistry becomes its own hidden dialect. With Aries snake's unrelenting heat and Aquarius snake's unpredictable edge, their sexual connection is anything but ordinary. It's wild, it's psychological, it's addictive. The Aries snake approaches sex with purpose and pursuit. Seduction is not just foreplay, it's part of their strategy. They like to lead, to initiate, to dominate with charm and confidence. There's nothing passive about an Aries snake in bed. Every touch, every glance, every whispered word is calculated to provoke a response. They don't just want to please, they want to conquer, to own the moment, to imprint themselves onto your skin and memory. The snake in them adds a layer of control beneath the Aries intensity. They're not reckless, they're surgical with desire. Meanwhile, the Aquarius snake brings something entirely different to the table, or bed. For them, sex is a playground of ideas, experimentation, and boundary pushing. They don't just want physical connection, they want mental stimulation that turns into physical expression. They're not driven by routine or repetition. In fact, they're turned off by anything that feels too scripted. What they crave is novelty, an experience that feels new every time. They don't follow predictable patterns, they write strange, beautiful scripts in real time. Together, these two create a dynamic that's both explosive and enigmatic. Aries provides the fire, the need to feel, to move, to devour. Aquarius provides the air, the creativity, the surprise, the invention. In their best moments, it's like jazz and thunder happening at the same time. A rhythmic collision of emotion and intellect. They'll try anything once, and if it works, they'll remix it. They're not limited by convention or societal norms. In fact, they're often turned on by what's forbidden, what's strange, what's taboo. But here's where it gets deeper. Sex, for them, isn't just about bodies. It's a conversation, a code, a language of shadows and sparks. Aries snake speaks in fire, bold moves, urgent rhythm, physical dominance. Aquarius snake speaks in riddles, sudden stillness, unexpected moves, cerebral curiosity. Together, if they listen to each other's styles, they can create a dialogue that's hypnotic and endlessly evolving. The trouble begins when the emotional circuitry underneath the passion gets ignored. Because for all their fire and mystery, both signs have a tendency to hide their deeper vulnerabilities. Aries snake, despite their dominance, needs to feel emotionally validated. They want to know they're desired beyond just the act. Aquarius snake, despite their cool exterior, needs to feel emotionally safe to fully let go. If either of them feels unseen or misunderstood, the sexual connection, no matter how intense, starts to dull. Sex becomes the battlefield when words are withheld, when affection becomes assumed rather than expressed. Aries may start to feel rejected if Aquarius becomes too emotionally distant. Aquarius, in turn, may feel overwhelmed or boxed in if Aries demands constant closeness or reassurance through physical contact. Without regular emotional check-ins, their sex life can slide from electric to mechanical. They might still do it, but the magic will fade without mutual emotional presence. The antidote? Exploration, not just of each other's bodies, but of their inner worlds. This couple needs to talk about their fantasies, their insecurities, their evolving desires. They need to keep the mystery alive by revealing new layers of themselves, slowly and intentionally. Erotic novelty is their shared language. Roleplay, power dynamics, unconventional locations, philosophical pillow talk, these are tools in their sexual toolbox. They don't need tradition, they need transformation. Sex for the Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake isn't a routine, it's a ritual. A chance to reset, reconnect, and remember why they chose each other. It's where dominance meets freedom, where ego meets exploration. But it's only sustainable when they both commit to growth, to curiosity, to listening to the unspoken needs under the surface. This is not a once a week, lights off kind of relationship. This is the kind of sexual connection that either burns like a sacred fire or fizzles out under neglect. It requires effort, attention, creative risk, but if they invest in it, if they learn each other's erotic dialects and aren't afraid to reinvent the script, their intimacy can become their greatest strength. A secret world only they understand. Because for this couple, sex isn't just a release, it's a revelation. A place where two rebels finally find a shared rhythm, one full of fire, and mystery, and truth. Friendship, the strangest dream team. Friendship between an Aries snake and an Aquarius snake doesn't always look like friendship to outsiders. It can seem too paradoxical, too erratic, even too rare to define. But underneath the quirks and differences lies a dynamic so effective, so balanced in its contradictions, that when it does work, it becomes unforgettable. This is not the kind of best friendship built on constant contact or emotional confessions. It's built on resonance. It's the kind of bond where two completely different energies collide, and instead of clashing, they fuse into something sharp, strange, and surprisingly functional. The Aries snake is a natural instigator in friendship. They're the one calling at midnight with a spontaneous idea, the one rallying everyone to do something, go on a trip, start a business, crash a gallery opening. They have a fiery, active energy that doesn't tolerate stagnation. They're not about, let's talk about it. They're about, let's build it. As a friend, they're fiercely loyal and surprisingly generous, as long as their fire is fed. But they also have expectations. Aries snakes don't like flaky energy. If they invest in you, they expect follow-through. The Aquarius snake, by contrast, is the visionary. They're the friend who drifts in with some surreal, brilliant idea that sounds insane until, suddenly, it works. They're not the most predictable or accessible, but they bring depth and perspective that very few people can offer. Aquarius snakes don't cling, and they don't chase. But if they connect with someone on a wavelength level, they stay. In their own distant, cerebral, cosmic way, they stay. They challenge norms, ask weird questions, and force their friends to think bigger. They're the dreamer you never expected to actually launch that idea, but they do. And with style. Together, Aries snake and Aquarius snake form an unlikely but potent friendship. Aries is the spark, Aquarius is the circuitry. Aries is the action, Aquarius is the blueprint. One thrives on impulse, the other on originality. Aries pulls Aquarius out of overthinking spirals and forces them to engage with the world. Aquarius, in turn, cools Aries' volcanic temper and opens their mind to new ways of seeing. Aries might say, let's go now. Aquarius might say, wait, let's reimagine it first. And somehow, through that back and forth, they arrive at an even better version of reality. They don't need to talk every day to stay connected. In fact, they probably won't. The friendship often exists in bursts, intense, inspiring hangouts separated by stretches of solo processing. But when they do reconnect, it's as if no time has passed. They can go months without checking in and then spontaneously road trip across 3 states with nothing but a playlist, an idea, and 2 backpacks full of chaos and snacks. It's that kind of bond, discontinuous but never disconnected. Disagreements happen, of course. Aries Snake can become impatient with Aquarius's detached or overly analytical vibe. They may interpret it as indifference. Aquarius Snake might find Aries's high energy exhausting or their emotional directness overwhelming. Aquarius doesn't like drama, Aries doesn't like avoidance. But because there's a layer of mutual respect, and admiration for how differently the other navigates the world, these clashes often become creative fuel rather than terminal conflicts. They finish each other's sentences, not because they think alike, but because they understand how the other thinks. Aries completes the thought Aquarius begins, but never says aloud. Aquarius challenges the thought Aries didn't realize could be questioned. That kind of synergy doesn't come often. It's a best friendship that feels more like an invention, an experiment that shouldn't work, but somehow, beautifully, does. And perhaps that's what makes them such a dream team. Not just in friendship, but in collaboration, in chaos, in life. Aries Snake gives Aquarius Snake grounding and forward motion. Aquarius Snake gives Aries Snake expansion and insight. They're different in every visible way. One burns, one floats, but at their core, both seek something deeper. Innovation, meaning, legacy, and that shared hunger makes them unstoppable. This friendship might not come with daily texts, cozy wine nights, or coordinated Halloween costumes. But it will come with ideas that light fires, with spontaneous ventures, with unspoken loyalty that feels like it was forged in another lifetime. It's the kind of connection that doesn't just exist, it evolves. Over years, through chaos, in unexpected ways. In the end, friendship between an Aries Snake and an Aquarius Snake doesn't follow any rules. But that's exactly why it works. They don't try to fit each other into a mold, they break the mold together. Unlikely besties, strategic allies, cosmic misfits, whatever you want to call them, one thing is certain. When these two link up, the world shifts, just a little. And neither of them walks away quite the same. Business, strategist meets innovator. In business, the Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake partnership isn't just effective, it has the potential to be revolutionary. This isn't your average 2-person startup team or boardroom pairing. It's a fusion of fire and foresight, of rapid action and radical thinking. When these two come together, something rare happens, momentum meets vision. One moves the needle, the other redefines the entire gauge. But this isn't an automatic success story, it's a high-stakes equation. Everything depends on alignment, timing, and, most importantly, mutual respect for what each brings to the table. The Aries Snake operates like a high-performance engine, fast, focused, and unapologetically driven. In the world of business, they're all about execution. They don't wait for permission, they don't overanalyze, and they sure as hell don't let fear get in the way. They make bold moves, launch big campaigns, and close deals with charm and intensity. Their charisma is more than just surface, it's persuasive, strategic, and instinctively wired for leadership. Aries Snake is the person who walks into the pitch meeting and turns it into a battlefield, with them winning, of course. They live for action, thrive on momentum, and don't believe in standing still. In many ways, they are the heartbeat of any business venture they touch. The Aquarius Snake, on the other hand, is a different kind of power player. They're not here to dominate the room, they're here to redesign the room entirely. Their brilliance lies in innovation, long-term vision, and a kind of disruptive genius that most people don't fully understand until years later. They see market gaps where others see noise. They see future tech, trends, and cultural shifts before they happen. In the boardroom, they might be quieter, less showy, but when they speak, everyone listens. They have a knack for seeing 10 steps ahead, and while they may not always explain themselves clearly at first, their instincts are razor sharp. The Aquarius Snake isn't the sprinter, they're the strategist plotting a multi-decade race across an evolving terrain. Now, put these two together, and you have a duo that could theoretically reshape industries. Aries Snake brings velocity. Aquarius Snake brings direction. One says, let's launch this tomorrow. The other says, let's make sure we're building what the world will need 5 years from now. If they sync up, Aries becomes the vehicle and Aquarius becomes the GPS. One builds the engine, the other fuels it with vision. Together, they can create not just companies, but legacies. But, here comes the challenge. Control. Aries Snake wants to lead. It's not a suggestion, it's their default mode. They trust themselves more than anyone else, especially when things are moving fast. They don't take kindly to being second-guessed or slowed down. Aquarius Snake, meanwhile, hates being managed, boxed in, or told how to think. They're autonomous by nature and allergic to micromanagement. They don't respond to top-down leadership. If they sense their ideas are being bulldozed or undervalued, they disengage, not with fire, but with silence and quiet detachment. Which, ironically, drives Aries crazy. This power dynamic can create serious tension. Aries may start seeing Aquarius as too idealistic or vague. Aquarius may start seeing Aries as impulsive or short-sighted. The risk is a battle of egos that derails an otherwise promising alliance. Because while Aries measures success in wins and deadlines, Aquarius is playing a much longer game. Without a clear structure and a shared vision of roles, resentment can build fast. The solution? Define the lanes, early and clearly. Make Aquarius Snake the chief vision officer, the one who handles strategy, future planning, innovation labs, creative direction. Let them roam intellectually and own the big picture thinking. Give them freedom, space, and trust. Make Aries Snake the CEO-style executor, the decision maker, the leader of operations, the driving force behind getting things done. Let them control speed, workflow, public-facing roles, and timelines. When these lanes are respected and reinforced, magic happens. Aries moves fast, but with direction. Aquarius dreams big, but with real-world implementation. Their combined strengths eliminate each other's weaknesses. Aries tempers Aquarius's tendency to overthink or delay. Aquarius slows Aries down just enough to keep them from rushing into avoidable mistakes. Together, they create not just momentum, but momentum with meaning. It's also important that their business model accommodates freedom. These aren't personalities suited to overly structured systems or micromanaged processes. The best environment for their success is one that allows for independence, flexibility, and experimentation. If their venture becomes too rigid, Aquarius checks out. If it moves too slow, Aries burns out. The business itself needs to reflect their dual essence, dynamic, unconventional, and always moving forward. Communication will be their linchpin. Regular check-ins that balance vision and logistics are essential. Aries must learn to slow down enough to hear the subtleties in Aquarius's feedback. Aquarius must learn to communicate more directly, especially when things aren't working. Their minds operate on different frequencies, but when they tune in, the synergy is extraordinary. If nurtured correctly, this business partnership can change the game, literally. They're not here to replicate what already exists. They're here to innovate, disrupt, and lead. Think Tesla meets SpaceX. Think Jobs meets Wozniak. Think fast meets far. The trick is knowing who holds the wheel, and who holds the map. So yes, they can absolutely dominate, if they stay in their lanes. Not out of restriction, but out of respect. Not because one is better than the other, but because together, they cover every base. Aries Snake makes it happen. Aquarius Snake makes it matter. When that balance clicks, they're not just co-founders or collaborators. They're a force, a movement, a future in motion. Dark sides, two masks, two monsters. Every powerful personality casts a shadow. And when it comes to Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake, those shadows don't lurk quietly in the background. They wait, coil, and sometimes strike. These are not mild-mannered individuals when provoked. Their darkness doesn't announce itself with tantrums or chaos. It comes in waves of emotional warfare, power plays, and psychological ice. Each wears a different mask, but beneath both lies the potential for control, manipulation, and destruction, especially when love or loyalty is on the line. The Aries Snake is a master of presence. In their light, they're dynamic, passionate, and magnetic. But when the dark switch flips, their fire doesn't warm, it burns. They become domineering, suspicious, and emotionally volatile. Jealousy wraps around them like armor. Possessiveness kicks in like instinct. If they feel rejected, insulted, or, worst of all, betrayed, their response is not gentle. It's nuclear. The snake in them doesn't just want to hurt. It wants to win. The Aries part lashes out instantly, while the snake calculates how deep the cut needs to be to leave a scar. Their anger isn't random, it's strategic. They don't explode without reason. But once they do, it's an inferno with intention. At their darkest, Aries snakes can become control freaks. They try to manage everything: your schedule, your emotions, even your perception of reality. Why? Because losing control terrifies them. Being vulnerable, being exposed, being wrong, these are existential threats. So they push, manipulate, dominate. They raise their voice not just to be heard, but to drown out yours. If they sense you're slipping away, they'll either double down with intensity or go cold in a way that's meant to punish. The worst part? They'll often believe they're justified, that their pain gives them permission. Aquarius Snake wears a very different mask. Their darkness isn't loud, it's calculated silence, cold withdrawal, strategic indifference. While Aries Snake screams through fire, Aquarius Snake disappears into ice. At their worst, they become emotionally untouchable, detached, arrogant, and manipulative in ways that are subtle and surgical. If they feel cornered, misunderstood, or emotionally burdened, they won't fight back in a traditional way. They'll ghost you mid-conversation. They'll emotionally vanish. They'll weaponize their absence. And here's where it gets even trickier. Aquarius Snake can be deeply judgmental in their shadow form. Not overtly, but internally, they begin to build a case against you. Every misstep becomes data. Every emotional demand becomes another line in the silent verdict they're preparing. By the time they finally walk away, if they do, you'll realize they left emotionally weeks ago. They don't always argue. They exit, not out of cowardice, but out of quiet retribution. Their logic? You weren't worth the energy it would have taken to explain. Now, imagine what happens when both of these personalities spiral at the same time. It's not loud chaos. It's not screaming in the rain. It's worse. It's strategic warfare disguised as silence. Aries Snake may go on the attack, demanding, confronting, accusing. Aquarius Snake will respond with cold, unreadable detachment. They won't yell. They'll vanish. Or worse, they'll stay, and become emotionally unreachable. A ghost in the room. Two people, neither willing to surrender first, circling one another with daggers drawn and hearts locked tight. This emotional impasse can stretch for days, weeks, even months. Passive-aggressive texts, icy body language, tense silences in conversations that used to flow effortlessly. The relationship stops being a connection and becomes a standoff. Aries Snake demands answers. Aquarius Snake offers riddles or worse, nothing. And in that void, resentment ferments. Trust dissolves. Respect erodes. So how do they break the spiral? One word: vulnerability. And that's where the real challenge lies. Vulnerability is the shared kryptonite for these two. Aries Snake hates feeling weak, exposed, or emotionally dependent. Aquarius Snake hates emotional messiness, especially when it feels irrational or unstructured. For either one to say, "I'm scared," or "I feel hurt," requires an emotional bravery that doesn't come naturally. But it's the only way to break the stalemate. If Aries Snake can pause the fire and say, "I'm reacting because I care too much," instead of lashing out, they start building a bridge. If Aquarius Snake can resist the urge to shut down and instead say, "I need space, but I'm not leaving," they soften the silence into something human. These small emotional admissions become lifelines. Moments where the monster removes the mask, not to surrender, but to connect. Because beneath all the ego, all the control, all the defense mechanisms, there are two people who don't want to destroy each other. They just don't know how to stop defending their own hearts long enough to let the other one in. The darkness isn't their downfall, it's their test. If they can learn to name it, claim it, and disarm it, they don't just survive, they evolve. They transform from reactive beings into conscious partners. The Aries snake learns emotional intelligence. The Aquarius snake learns emotional presence. The relationship deepens in ways that perfect chemistry alone could never produce. But it all begins with a choice. The choice to unmask, to risk softness in the face of conflict, to show the scar and say, "This is why I strike." That choice isn't easy, but it's the only way to turn two monsters into two mirrors, reflecting not pain but potential. Because when the fire meets the ice in honest light, they don't destroy each other. They temper each other, and in that rarest of moments, the darkness becomes their doorway to something unbreakable. Life purpose goals, different directions, same hunger. This is the axis upon which their entire dynamic can spin, either toward unbreakable alignment or slow, irreversible distance. The question isn't whether the Aries snake and Aquarius snake are driven. That's a given. The real tension lies in what drives them, and why. Because while both of these signs burn with purpose, their flames come from completely different fuels. The Aries snake wants to win. The Aquarius snake wants to transform. One is chasing greatness in the world as it is. The other is chasing the world as it could be. The Aries snake's life mission is rooted in conquest. They are builders, climbers, warriors of ambition. They thrive on competition, milestones, and status, whether they admit it or not. They're not content to simply do well. They want to excel, to dominate, to stand out in whatever field they choose. Their mantra, "I win, therefore I am," is not about ego alone. It's about proving something, often to themselves. That they can overcome, that they can lead, that they are not ordinary. Their goals are tangible: promotions, titles, accolades, legacy. They chase clarity, results, progress they can see. And when they reach one summit, they're already scanning for the next. The Aquarius snake moves differently. Their ambition isn't loud, it's layered, philosophical. Their hunger is for meaning, not medals. They want freedom, truth, reinvention. They don't climb ladders, they redesign the entire structure. Their mantra, "I disrupt, therefore I am," tells you everything. They don't want to fit into the world. They want to outgrow it. They don't chase power in the traditional sense, they seek influence. Their achievements might not always look like success on paper, but they ripple through culture, through people, through ideas. They're often misunderstood early in life, too visionary, too abstract, but they keep going because their compass isn't external praise. It's internal alignment with what's real, what's next. This creates a fascinating push-pull dynamic between them. Aries snake often looks at Aquarius snake and thinks, "Why don't you do more?" Aquarius snake looks back and thinks, "Why don't you question more?" One thrives in the spotlight. The other finds it suffocating. One defines progress by metrics. The other by movements. And unless they consciously make room for each other's worldview, this gap can quietly become a canyon. That's the danger. When admiration turns into misunderstanding. When Aries starts to believe Aquarius is impractical or flaky. When Aquarius starts to believe Aries is shallow or stuck in a system that needs to be broken. It's not the difference in direction that causes the drift, it's the judgment that grows between the lines. But here's the potential. If they can stay curious about each other, they can become each other's greatest catalyst. Aries snake can teach Aquarius how to turn theory into execution, how to focus, how to fight, not just philosophize. Aquarius snake can teach Aries how to zoom out, how to question the system they're climbing, how to make their power matter. Together, they can create a balance between impact and imagination, a fusion of fire and future. To do this, though, they have to surrender the idea that their way is the only right way. Aries has to accept that success doesn't always come with a title. Aquarius has to accept that ambition doesn't make someone conformist or basic. They have to practice mutual awe, not just respect, but reverence for the other's path. Aries should see the poetry in Aquarius's disruption. Aquarius should see the nobility in Aries's drive. When this happens, when their goals stop competing and start complementing, they become unstoppable. The Aries snake becomes the sword. The Aquarius snake becomes the vision. One clears the path, the other draws the map. Aries builds the company. Aquarius redefines its purpose. Aries executes with speed. Aquarius ensures it's worth doing. Together, they become a force that doesn't just win or innovate, but evolves. But they have to check in. Often, they have to ask the deeper questions. Are we still growing in the same direction? Do I still see you, not just love you? Because growth is inevitable for both, but it's easy to grow apart if you stop witnessing each other. This isn't a relationship where you can coast. It's one where you must constantly update your understanding of who the other is becoming. Their shared hunger is their bond. Hunger for greatness, for transformation, for a life that means something. They're not the couple with matching goals, but they are the couple who want to die with no regrets, who want to matter. And if they can merge that hunger without forcing it into one shape, they will thrive. So yes, they take different paths. But if they hold hands across those paths, if they keep cheering each other on from opposite lanes, they'll realize they're both heading to the same place, a life that leaves a mark. And in that realization, they'll find not just compatibility, but destiny. Final verdict: can they make it? This duo is like lightning in a bottle, rare, wild, and full of charge. Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake aren't just two people navigating connection. They're two elemental forces colliding, challenging the very idea of what compatibility means. Together, they can light up the sky, or scorch the ground beneath them. What makes them fascinating isn't how similar they are, but how completely different, and yet, still drawn to one another like magnets wrapped in tension. The question isn't, can they make it? The real question is, can they make it work, without losing who they are in the process? In love, they are magnetic, risky, and potentially soul-deep. Their chemistry is undeniable. It crackles from the very first conversation. Aries Snake comes in hot, charming, intense, focused like a laser. Aquarius Snake is cool, cerebral, full of mystery and mental intrigue. Together, they create a push-pull dynamic that keeps things from ever getting dull. The danger? That one burns too fast while the other drifts too far. For this love to last, they'll have to constantly renegotiate the emotional rules, learning each other's language and learning how to stay when things get uncomfortable. They have the potential to be epic, but only if they can stop trying to outmaneuver each other and start trying to understand each other. In marriage, they are non-traditional but powerful. This isn't a couple that thrives on routine or conventional relationship models. In fact, the more space and independence they allow each other, the stronger their bond becomes. Marriage, for them, must be more like a creative alliance than a social contract. Think separate offices, flexible roles, a shared mission, not matching sweaters and weekly date nights. Aries Snake brings intensity and commitment. Aquarius Snake brings innovation and emotional spaciousness. When they let each other live without trying to possess, they build a marriage rooted in choice, not obligation. But the moment one partner starts demanding the other change, the whole thing starts to crack. Freedom is the oxygen this marriage breathes. In sex, they are passionate and unforgettable. This is one of the most electric zones of their relationship. Aries Snake is fiery, dominant, and emotionally charged. Aquarius Snake is experimental, curious, and emotionally complex. Together, they create a private world of desire that's deeply imaginative and rarely repetitive. Their sex life is often where they reconnect after conflict. It becomes a space of raw honesty when words fail. But even here, they'll need to evolve. Aries must learn patience and emotional sensitivity. Aquarius must show up with warmth and vulnerability. Their bodies know how to speak, but the magic happens when their hearts get brave enough to do the same. In friendship, they are brainy and loyal. Though they may not be the type to spend every weekend together, when they do connect, it's deep and enriching. Aries Snake brings bold action and loyalty. Aquarius Snake brings visionary ideas and objectivity. They challenge each other, inspire each other, and sharpen each other's edges. Their friendship thrives best when neither is trying to fix the other. They may have wildly different playlists, life paths, or communication styles, but when they do sync up, they speak in a frequency few others can understand. This friendship often survives romantic fallouts, because at its core, it's based on deep mutual respect. In business, they are unstoppable with clear roles. This is a dream team when the structure is right. Aries Snake handles the execution, the leadership, the immediate drive. Aquarius Snake is the strategist, the futurist, the one who sees where the market is going before the market even knows. If they respect the lanes they're in, and don't try to dominate or undermine each other, they can create something innovative, profitable, and impactful. But ego must be checked at the door. Aries must not micromanage. Aquarius must not disengage when things get messy. Their best business dynamic is part fire, part foresight. They're the type who could launch an empire and still surprise each other 5 years in. In darkness, they are dangerous if communication dies. This is their greatest vulnerability. When they stop talking, or worse, stop listening, the relationship becomes a cold war. Aries Snake becomes controlling, aggressive, defensive. Aquarius Snake becomes withdrawn, passive-aggressive, and emotionally distant. The longer they stay silent, the more each partner builds a private narrative full of assumptions, resentments, and imagined slights. This is where they can really hurt each other, not with yelling, but with silence, sarcasm, and emotional sabotage. To avoid this spiral, both must make vulnerability a regular practice. Not a crisis tool, but a habit. Only by naming their fear, their frustration, and their love can they neutralize the damage their shadows can cause. In life, they are very different, but able to evolve together if they respect the journey. Aries Snake wants the win, the title, the crown. Aquarius Snake wants the meaning, the disruption, the revolution. They are walking different paths, but both are headed toward greatness. The key to long-term harmony is curiosity. Aries must stay interested in Aquarius's ideals, even when they don't fully understand them. Aquarius must stay invested in Aries's ambitions, even when they seem rooted in external validation. If they can respect the why behind each other's goals, they become not just compatible, but deeply supportive of one another's evolution. Their journey may not be the same, but it can run parallel. And that shared movement is what keeps them connected for the long haul. Compatibility score: love, 7/10, marriage, 6/10, sex, 9/10, friendship, 8/10, business, 9/10. So, can they make it? With effort, yes. With intention, absolutely. With self-awareness, it could be legendary. This isn't the easy match, the predictable pairing, the seamless merge of similar souls. This is a collision of energies. But that's what makes it so special. Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake don't coast. They collide, create, and grow. Their relationship isn't made of symmetry. It's made of contrast, challenge, and evolution. And if they can commit to evolving together instead of trying to change one another, they will not just survive, they'll become something greater than the sum of their parts. Because in the end, Aries Snake and Aquarius Snake don't just dance, they spark. And sometimes, the most extraordinary relationships aren't built on perfect compatibility. They're built on two people who are willing to meet at the edge of who they are, and keep walking, together. If this breakdown gave you goosebumps, or some aha moments, make sure to like this video, hit subscribe, and check out the other astrology deep dives on the channel. Want more personalized insights? The links in the description are waiting for you. Thanks for watching, and may the stars and snakes guide you.